My family took holiday hosting for granted until I canceled it after they excluded me from a family trip, and now they're begging. Before we begin the story, take a moment to support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Your support means the world to our channel and helps us spread more shocking true stories to light. Now, let's get started. So, I'm Aaron, 35 years old, male, and for the last 15 years, I have been my family's personal holiday host. No exaggeration. Every single holiday. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, Labor Day, you name it, it's been at my house. And I'm not just talking about opening my doors and letting people in. No, I've been running the whole damn show. The planning, the shopping, the cooking, the decorating, the cleaning, every single detail. It's wild looking back at how it all started. I was in my early 20s, fresh out of college, and had just landed my first decent job. I worked my ass off, saved every penny, and managed to buy a modest little house before the housing market went insane. Nothing fancy, just a 3-bedroom in a decent neighborhood, an open floor plan, and a backyard big enough for a grill. But compared to my siblings' crappy apartments, it was a damn palace. My parents had moved out of state years ago, Arizona, for my dad's job, while my brother, Jason, and my sister, Lisa, were scattered across the city. Jason had crammed himself into a shoebox-sized studio downtown, where his gaming setup took up more space than his actual bed. Lisa, on the other hand, was in a constant cycle of roommate disasters, moving from one shared apartment to the next as each situation inevitably imploded. So, back then, I actually liked hosting. It made me feel like a real adult. I got a kick out of learning how to cook the perfect turkey, setting up a Pinterest-worthy Christmas tree, and spending way too many hours on YouTube mastering gravy that didn't come from a packet. I even bought one of those deep fryers, the kind that's probably responsible for half the house fires in America. And let me tell you, my neighbors must have thought I was insane, standing outside in the freezing cold, watching that fryer like a hawk, ready to tackle it if it decided to explode. Looking back, I was such a damn fool. The early years, clueless, overworked, and underappreciated. At first, it wasn't so bad. I mean, yeah, hosting took effort, but I actually enjoyed it. I felt like the responsible, dependable one, the guy who brought everyone together. And for those first few years, my family pretended to appreciate it. They'd show up with little thank you gifts, a half-melted box of chocolates, a last-minute grocery store cake, or some sad-looking plant they grabbed on the way over. Jason would bring cheap beer, only to drink most of it himself. Lisa? She'd arrive with some Pinterest fail appetizer that looked like it belonged in a kindergarten art class. And my parents? At least they brought decent wine. But then they'd complain about how I stored it, how I served it, or how it wasn't the brand they liked. Cleaning up? Yeah, that was about as common as spotting a unicorn taking a dump in my backyard. I still remember one Thanksgiving when Jason, bless his lazy soul, actually offered to help with dishes. You know what help meant? He rinsed exactly 2 plates, threw them in the dishwasher wrong, declared that should take care of it, and then disappeared back to the couch to watch football. Lisa? One year, she decided to organize my kitchen. You know what that meant? Moving everything around so I couldn't find a damn thing for weeks. But I let it slide, because I was young, because I had energy, and because back then I actually thought it was worth it. My mom would brag to her friends about how amazing my Thanksgiving dinners were. My dad would give me that approving nod, like that's my boy. Even my siblings, lazy and oblivious as they were, acted kind of grateful in their own half-assed ways. Little did I know, I was creating a monster that would consume the next 15 years of my life. The holiday trap, the expectations keep growing. If I could go back in time and grab my 22-year-old self by the shoulders, I'd shake him and scream, "Stop now. This is a trap." But nope, I kept going. Year after year, I'd set up the perfect holiday spread, cooking, cleaning, decorating, playing the role of the perfect host. I'd take Instagram-worthy photos of my beautifully set table, my golden brown turkey, my family sitting around enjoying food that I'd spent days preparing. And what did I get? A bunch of likes, comments from friends saying, "Wow, your family is so lucky to have you." Meanwhile, I was running on 3 hours of sleep, practically a zombie after pulling an all-nighter prepping everything. And each year, the expectations grew. It wasn't enough to make a turkey anymore. Oh no. Now it had to be a perfectly brined, stuffed, golden brown masterpiece that would make Gordon Ramsay weep with joy. The sides started with mashed potatoes and gravy. Then suddenly, I needed to make 5 different vegetable dishes, 3 types of dinner rolls, and enough desserts to stock a damn bakery. And God forbid I try to change anything. One year, I dared to suggest we mix things up for Thanksgiving, maybe order from a restaurant or do a potluck where everyone actually brought something. You'd think I had suggested we sacrifice the family pet. My mom got that disappointed tone in her voice, the one designed to make you feel like the world's worst child. But honey, everyone looks forward to your Thanksgiving turkey. My dad, he just grunted. It's tradition now. Jason acted like I had canceled Christmas. Lisa started rambling about how her friends' families do these amazing home-cooked meals, completely missing the irony that she never actually cooked anything herself. So I caved, like I always did, because somehow saying no made me the bad guy. They took me for granted, and I let them. You know what the worst part was? They never showed up early to help, not even to keep me company while I cooked. Nope. They'd magically appear exactly when the food was ready, like some kind of perfectly synchronized freeloading act. They'd waltz in, all smiles, stuffing their faces like they hadn't eaten in weeks. Then, within minutes, the complaints would start. Gravy's a little lumpy this year. You know, Aunt Carol makes an amazing cranberry relish. Maybe you should try that next time. My coworker's wife does stuffing with chestnuts, and it's to die for. Just a thought. Oh, and cleanup? You'd think I was asking them to perform hard labor. I drop hints. Man, these dishes are piling up. Nothing. I get more direct. Could use an extra hand with these leftovers. Silence. Or worse, BS excuses. We'll help in a minute. Which never came. If I actually asked for help, Jason would suddenly remember an urgent email he had to send. Lisa would conveniently get a phone call she just had to take. Mom would mysteriously throw out her back at that exact moment. And Dad, that's not really my department. It was always like this. Always. So, eventually I just stopped asking. It was easier to do it all myself than to deal with their half-assed attempts that usually created more work. And that's how I became the designated holiday host. Not because I was especially good at it, but because no one else wanted to do it. And because I was too much of a pushover to say no. From bad to worse. The expectations became unstoppable. For the first few years, I at least got the illusion that my family was making an effort. Jason would bring a 6-pack of cheap beer, which, let's be real, was mostly for himself. Lisa would show up with some disastrous attempt at an appetizer. Think burnt cheese on stale crackers. My parents would bring wine and complaints about how I served it. But after a while, even those pathetic efforts disappeared. Bringing something? Helping out? Not even a thought anymore. It was like my house being holiday central had become an unspoken law of the universe. And the workload? Holy crap. It grew like some kind of sci-fi horror monster. Every year, more food, more cleaning, more stress. And my family? Instead of stepping up, they stepped back. Let me introduce you to these delightful humans in more detail, because you need to understand what I was dealing with. My brother, Jason, aka the culinary genius. This man thinks he's a 5-star chef if he successfully microwaves a bag of popcorn without burning it. I'm not joking. One time, he called me to ask how to boil pasta. I said, dude, it literally says on the box, boil water, add pasta. His response? Yeah, but like, how much water? Jason is 37 years old, a grown man, with a college degree, who can't figure out basic cooking. My sister, Lisa, master of kitchen fires. Lisa? She once set off every smoke alarm in a 5-mile radius trying to boil water. Not even exaggerating. She put the kettle on, got distracted by a TikTok notification, and forgot about it. The thing boiled dry, started smoking, and the fire department had to be called. Her excuse? I got distracted. To this day, she exclusively lives on takeout and protein bars. My parents, supervisors, not helpers. My parents are what I like to call supervisory types, which is just a nice way of saying they sit on their asses and tell you what you're doing wrong. My dad, He'll literally sit there with his feet up while I'm vacuuming and say, "You missed a spot." My mom? She'll hover behind me in the kitchen going, "That's not how I do it," for every single step of cooking. But do they actually lift a damn finger to help? Absolutely not. Breaking point. The year I cooked Thanksgiving with the flu. Now, you'd think with a family this helpless in the kitchen, they'd at least step up when I was sick, right? Wrong. One year I caught a nasty flu right before Thanksgiving. I was down bad. Fever of 101, body aching, chills, the whole miserable package. So, what did my loving, supportive family do? Did they offer to take over the holiday this time? Did they suggest we host it somewhere else? Maybe at one of their places? Nope. My mom's brilliant suggestion? Maybe just keep things simple this year, honey. And by simple, she apparently meant white heavy checkmark turkey, white heavy checkmark mashed potatoes, white heavy checkmark gravy, white heavy checkmark stuffing, white heavy checkmark green bean casserole, white heavy checkmark cranberry sauce, white heavy checkmark pumpkin pie. Simple. So, I dragged myself out of bed at 6 a.m., barely able to stand, and started cooking. Popping Dayquil like it was candy. Chugging Gatorade like I was in a marathon. Having to step outside multiple times because the smell of food was making me nauseous. And when my family arrived, did they ask how I was feeling? Did they thank me for cooking their entire holiday meal while my immune system was fighting for its life? Oh no. Lisa immediately noticed that I hadn't made her precious sweet potato casserole with marshmallows on top. Wait, where's the sweet potatoes? I stared at her. I almost flipped the entire table over. I was sweating, dizzy, and could barely stand, and she was whining about marshmallows. That was the moment. That was when something in me finally snapped. Enough was enough. The moment I saw the truth. That Thanksgiving, the one where I nearly passed out over a pot of gravy, should have been my breaking point. It should have been a moment I said never again. But nope. The next year, I found myself right back in the kitchen, stuffing a damn turkey and setting the table like the holiday doormat I had become. Because every time I tried to say no, my mom would call a few months before the next holiday with that same sweet, guilt-laced voice. So, we're all counting on Thanksgiving at your place again this year, right? And I'd cave. Every single time. But over the years, something started to change. The criticism got worse. It wasn't just, the gravy's a little lumpy anymore. Now it was, remember that Thanksgiving at Aunt Carol's? Her cranberry relish was amazing. This is good too, though. Or, you should try making stuffing with chestnuts next time. My coworker's wife does that, and it's to die for. Not once did it cross their minds that maybe, just maybe, I was sick of cooking for people who couldn't even be bothered to bring a damn dish. They started inviting strangers, without asking me. One Christmas, Jason brought his new girlfriend's entire family. Just showed up with 4 extra people. No warning. No heads up. I had to scramble for chairs, plates, silverware. I ran out of ham. You know what I had to eat? Leftover pizza from the night before. Because I had cooked for 6 people, not 10. Did Jason apologize? Nope. He just shrugged and said, "I figured you'd have enough." Another time, Lisa invited her whole book club to Easter brunch. 6 extra people. She texted me the night before. When I called her, freaking out, she had the audacity to say, "It's fine. They'll just have whatever's available." As if food just magically multiplies when you add more people. I was spending thousands of dollars a year. Hosting all these holidays wasn't cheap. Groceries alone were costing me upwards of $1,000 per year. Not to mention the decorations, table settings, alcohol, extra chairs, serving platters. And do you think anyone ever offered a pitch in? Do you think Jason, Lisa, or my parents ever pulled out their wallets and said, "Hey, let me help cover some of this"? Of course not. They just showed up, ate everything in sight, and left me with a mess. For 15 years, I let it happen. For 15 years, I let them take advantage of me. And then came Florida. The ultimate betrayal. My family's secret trip to Florida. It was mid-October. Thanksgiving was a month away. I was already making my grocery lists, planning the menu, mentally preparing myself for yet another exhausting holiday marathon. And then, completely by chance, I found out something that made my blood boil. I was at Costco, loading up my cart with the usual Thanksgiving supplies, bulk paper towels, aluminum roasting pans, and a bottle of whiskey to help me cope. I was in the baking aisle, debating whether I had enough vanilla extract at home, when I literally bumped carts with my cousin Megan. We're not super close, but she's cool. We're Facebook friends. That kind of relationship. We did the usual small talk. Hey, how's life? How's work? When completely casually, she dropped the bomb. So, I heard everyone's going to Florida for Uncle Frank's birthday. That must be tough for you with all the Thanksgiving prep. I just froze. Like an idiot. I blinked at her, still holding a giant bottle of vanilla extract, trying to process what the hell she had just said. What Florida trip? I asked, keeping my voice casual. Megan's face instantly dropped. She looked like she had just stepped in dog crap. Oh, you didn't know? Her nervous laugh made my stomach drop. Yeah, so everyone's going to Orlando for Uncle Frank's 65th birthday. Your parents, Jason, Lisa, they're all flying out that Friday before Thanksgiving. Coming back Monday night. Days before Thanksgiving. A family trip. A big event. And not one of them had thought to mention it to me. Not. Hey, damn. Word. They hadn't forgotten. They had deliberately left me out. But the best part? They were still expecting me to host Thanksgiving when they got back. Like I was their unpaid staff. Confronting the truth. I was never one of them. I thanked Megan, made some joke about classic family communication to keep things from getting awkward, and finished my shopping on autopilot. But my mind was racing. The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. This wasn't a one-time thing. This wasn't a mistake. This was just the most obvious, most blatant example of what had been happening for years. I started replaying all the other times they had done this exact same crap. The time they all went to a baseball game and didn't invite me because you're not really into sports. I played baseball for 4 years in high school. The time they had a spontaneous family dinner at my parents' favorite restaurant while they were in town and somehow forgot to call me until they were already eating dessert. Oh, we tried calling, but you didn't pick up. Funny. My phone showed 0 missed calls. Every single time, they had just assumed I didn't matter. I was good enough to host. I was good enough to cook. I was good enough to clean up after them. But I wasn't good enough to be included. By the time I got home and unloaded my groceries, I had worked up a full head of steam. Part of me wanted to call them out immediately, to send a text like, hey, heard about Florida. Real nice of you all to include me. But another part of me, a more calculating, colder part, decided on a different approach. I was going to give them a taste of their own medicine. That night, I pulled out my phone and did a little experiment. I called Uncle Frank. Hey, Uncle, just wanted to say happy early birthday. Heard about the Florida trip. Sounds awesome. He hesitated for half a second before saying, oh yeah, wish you could make it. Your dad made it sound like everyone was coming, so I figured you were in. My stomach twisted. They hadn't just left me out. They had never even mentioned me. Oh, you know how it is, I said smoothly, playing along. Work's crazy this time of year, but I hope you guys have an amazing time. Uncle Frank sighed. Man, I wish I'd known. I would have made sure you were included. Yeah, no kidding. Their biggest mistake. Thinking I'd still cook for them. That same night, my phone buzzed. A text from my dad. Thanksgiving at your place, as usual, right? Looking forward to it. I stared at the screen for a long time. This was it. The final straw. The last nail in the coffin. The point of no return. They had cut me out of a family vacation and were now asking me to cook for them like nothing happened. I could feel something in me shift. I looked around my kitchen, at the groceries I had just bought, at the turkey platter I'd only ever used for them, at the decorations I'd spent years setting up for ungrateful people. It was time for a change. But I wasn't going to tip my hand just yet. If they could keep secrets, so could I. For the first time in 15 years, I felt something new. Power. They thought they knew exactly how Thanksgiving would go. They thought I'd be in my kitchen, busting my ass to feed them after their fun Florida getaway. But they had no idea what was actually coming. I smiled to myself as I typed my response. Yep, Thanksgiving at my place. Can't wait to see everyone. Just make sure you're not too tired from your Florida trip. Their response came quick. Dad, great. How did you hear about Florida? No apology. No explanation for why I wasn't invited. No, hey. Sorry we didn't tell you. Just immediate panic that I'd found out. I waited a few minutes, then replied. Ran into Megan yesterday. She mentioned it. Sounds fun. When were you going to tell me? The typing bubbles popped up, disappeared, popped up again. I could practically hear the gears turning in his head, trying to come up with a reasonable excuse. Finally, he landed on, "Came together last minute. Didn't think you'd be interested since you're always so busy. We'll tell you all about it at Thanksgiving." I grinned. Oh, I couldn't wait. Because this Thanksgiving, it was going to be unforgettable. The plan, my Thanksgiving escape. After I sent that last text, I put my phone down and just sat there. I wasn't mad anymore. I wasn't even hurt. I was just done. For 15 years, I had put in the effort. For 15 years, I had sacrificed my holidays for them. And for 15 years, they had taken me for granted. This wasn't a family. This was a group of people who expected me to be their unpaid holiday staff. Well, not this time. I pulled out my laptop and started researching. Not for Thanksgiving recipes. Screw that. I started looking for something for me. I had never actually traveled during Thanksgiving. Ever. I was always chained to my kitchen, trapped in my own home, playing host while everyone else got to enjoy themselves. But what if I just left? What if I took a vacation of my own? The perfect getaway, a cabin in the mountains. Flights were insanely expensive because, holiday travel. Hotels? Not much better. But then I found the perfect solution. A cabin rental about 3 hours away in the mountains. White heavy checkmark, 4 bedrooms. White heavy checkmark, hot tub. White heavy checkmark, fire pit. White heavy checkmark, completely isolated. It looked amazing. And the best part? No family drama. I sent a few texts to some friends, guys who had listened to me complain about my family's holiday BS for years. Hey, what if we do Thanksgiving differently this year? Found a sick cabin, thinking of a getaway. No family stress. Just food, drinks, and chilling. Within an hour, 3 of them were in. I booked it immediately. Non-refundable. No going back now. Playing the long game. Keeping up the act. For the next few weeks, I did exactly what they expected me to do. I played along. Jason called to ask if I was making the stuffing he liked, which, by the way, is just regular stuffing with extra sausage in it. The man could literally make it himself in 10 minutes. I told him, of course. Wouldn't forget your favorite. Lisa texted asking if she could bring her new boyfriend. He's vegan, but he eats turkey on holidays. What does that even mean? But whatever, I said sure, Lisa. Can't wait to meet him. Mom emailed me a list of her dietary restrictions, which, I swear to God, changed every year. This time, she was avoiding crossmark dairy, crossmark gluten, crossmark nightshades. But somehow, sweet potato casserole with marshmallows was still fine. Because it's tradition. I replied, got it, Mom. Can't wait to see you. Every call, every message, I kept up the act. YW checkmark yes, I was hosting. YW checkmark yes, I was making all the food. YW checkmark yes, I was so excited. They had no idea. And honestly, it was fun. I wasn't on a joke that they didn't know was coming. The final confirmation, they really didn't care about me. The week before their Florida trip, my mom called to check in. So, honey, we'll be back late Monday night from Orlando. Frank is really looking forward to celebrating with everyone. Everyone, except me. Sounds great. I'm sure he'll love it, I said, keeping my voice light. Mom hesitated. Then, as if nothing was wrong, she smoothly transitioned to Thanksgiving. Now, for Thursday, what time should we all come over? She didn't even pause. Didn't even acknowledge that they had excluded me. They had just assumed that I'd be waiting for them, apron on, ready to serve their post-vacation feast. I smiled to myself. Let's say 3 p.m. That gives me time to get everything ready. They had no idea. Thanksgiving morning, leaving town. The night before Thanksgiving, I packed my bags. White heavy checkmark clothes. White heavy checkmark food for the cabin. White heavy checkmark whiskey, because obviously, I set my thermostat to vacation mode, locked up the house, and went to bed feeling zero guilt. Thanksgiving morning, I woke up early, took a long, hot shower, got dressed in the most comfortable road trip outfit possible. Then, just before I left, I did one final thing. I left the porch light on, because when they arrived that afternoon, I wanted them to see my empty house in perfect clarity. By 7:30 a.m., I was on the road. Stopped at a little diner for breakfast, something I had never done on Thanksgiving before. The waitress asked if I was traveling for the holiday. Yep, I said, grinning. Going to meet some friends. And for the first time in 15 years, I felt free. 3 p.m., chaos begins. By the time 3 p.m. hit, I was already at the cabin, feet up, beer in hand, watching football with my friends. At exactly that moment, my family was arriving at my empty house, and my phone started blowing up. White heavy checkmark, 27 missed calls. White heavy checkmark, 43 text messages. White heavy checkmark, 6 voicemails. I let them pile up. I could see the panic unfolding in real time. The voicemails? A beautiful timeline of disaster. 3:15 p.m., confusion. Hey, honey, we're outside. Are you home? 3:30 p.m., mild annoyance. We're all here. Where are you? 3:45 p.m., Lisa is already pissed. Seriously? Where the hell are you? We've been standing outside for half an hour. My boyfriend is getting hangry. 4 p.m., full-blown panic. Jason, dude, what the actual F***? Everyone's pissed and mom's freaking out. If this is some kind of joke, it's not funny. 4:30 p.m., mom is losing it. We're getting worried. Please call us back immediately. If we don't hear from you in an hour, we're calling the police. 5:15 p.m., dad is furious. I don't know what kind of stunt you're pulling, but this is completely unacceptable. Your mother is in tears. Call US now. I turned my phone off, took another sip of my drink, and laughed. The fallout. No more holiday servant. When I got home Sunday night, my voicemail was full of messages that had evolved from confusion, thinking face, annoyance, face with steam from nose, rage, face with symbols on mouth. The final message? From my mom. Your behavior is completely unacceptable. We all had to scramble to find somewhere to eat. Your father says you are not welcome at Christmas or any family gathering until you apologize. Apologize? Oh, I had something for them. I texted the family group chat. Wow, must have been tough looking out for me like this while planning a trip without me. But good news. I'm officially retiring as the family cook, maid, and event planner. Good luck figuring out future holiday plans. I'm sure you'll manage. Then, I left the group chat, blocked their numbers, and poured myself a drink. And just like that, I was finally free. The aftermath. My family loses their minds. After I sent my final text and left the group chat, I poured myself a drink and just sat there. No guilt, no second guessing, just relief. I was done. For the first time in 15 years, I wasn't stressing about cleaning up after ungrateful people. I wasn't scraping dried mashed potatoes off plates at midnight. I wasn't exhausted, resentful, and alone in a kitchen full of dirty dishes. I was free, and it felt incredible. But my family? Oh, they were not happy. They went nuts. Since I had blocked their numbers, they tried getting to me in every possible way. White heavy checkmark, Jason emailed me. Bro, WTF? You really bailed on Thanksgiving? What's wrong with you? White heavy checkmark, Lisa messaged me on Instagram. You were supposed to tell US if you weren't hosting. How could you do this to mom? White heavy checkmark, my mom. Oh boy, my mom. Email me with the most dramatic guilt trip of all time. I cannot believe you would do this to your family. We were standing outside in the cold like stray dogs. Your poor father was humiliated. Jason and Lisa were so upset. We had to eat Chinese food on Thanksgiving. I raised you better than this. You owe US an apology. Chinese food, huh? Sounds rough. I stared at her message for a long time. Then, just for my own satisfaction, I typed a response. You didn't think to invite me on the family trip to Florida, but you expected me to cook for you anyway. I was done being the unpaid holiday servant. Hope the Chinese food was good. Then, I didn't send it. I just closed my laptop, deleted the email, and moved on with my life. Because they weren't worth the effort anymore. The Christmas ultimatum: apologize or be exiled. A few weeks later, I got one last email from my dad. It was short, cold, to the point. Until you apologize to your mother, don't bother showing up for Christmas. You have deeply disappointed this family. I actually laughed out loud when I read it. Apologize? For what? For finally standing up for myself? For saying no for the first time in my adult life? For refusing to be their holiday workhorse anymore? I didn't reply. I didn't show up for Christmas. And for the first time since I was 20 years old, I had a holiday that was actually relaxing. No cooking, no cleaning, no exhaustion. Just me, my friends who actually care about me, and a chill, stress-free holiday. 6 months later, my life is so much better without them. It's been 6 months since I went no contact. Best decision ever. No more guilt-tripped holiday obligations. I spend my holidays how I want, with friends, my amazing girlfriend, and people who actually appreciate me. No more spending thousands on food for people who don't care. I actually have extra money now. Who knew not feeding a small army twice a year would be so good for your budget? No more being treated like the help. I finally get to enjoy my own holidays instead of working through them. And my family? They've stayed radio silent. Which, honestly, fine by me. The unexpected support. Uncle Frank knows the truth. A month ago, out of the blue, Uncle Frank called me. Hey kiddo, how have you been? Turns out, Megan had told him everything. How my family had left me out of the Florida trip, but still expected me to cook for them. How they had lost their minds when I finally walked away. How they were playing the victim like I had done something unforgivable. And he wasn't buying it. I called your dad out on it, he said. Told him he was being a selfish ass. You don't exclude one kid from a family trip and then expect him to cook for you days later. That's some straight-up BS. I laughed. Finally, someone in the family actually got it. Your dad's always been stubborn, Frank sighed. But listen, kid, you did the right thing. Don't let them guilt-trip you into coming back. They owe you an apology, not the other way around. Damn. It actually felt good to hear that, because for so long I had wondered, had I gone too far? Had I been too harsh? But no, I had done exactly what I needed to do, and I had zero regrets. So, am I the holy for going no contact? Asterisk. Honestly, not even a little. For 15 years, I was treated like holiday staff instead of a family member. The one time I put myself first, they lost their minds. And that tells me everything I need to know. So no, I won't be apologizing. No, I won't be going back. And no, I don't feel bad at all. If they ever pull their heads out of their asses and actually apologize, maybe we can build something better. But until then, I'll be over here, enjoying stress-free holidays, eating food I actually want, and never lifting a damn finger for people who wouldn't do the same for me. Best decision ever. Final thoughts. Why this story blows up online. This kind of story resonates because so many people have been in this exact situation. Why'd have you checkmark the family who expects one person to do all the work? Why'd have you checkmark the guilt-tripping parents who demand tradition at someone else's expense? Why'd have you checkmark the entitled siblings who show up, eat, and leave like customers at a restaurant? And the moment you say no, you're the bad guy. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone your time, energy, or sanity. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish. Refusing to be used doesn't make you cruel. And standing up for yourself isn't something you have to apologize for. So, if you've ever felt trapped in a situation like this, where people take and take and take, and you're too afraid to stop, this is your sign. Say no. Walk away. And trust me, it'll be the best decision you ever make. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more real-life family dramas. Let me know in the comments what you think about today's story. Was it fair or totally messed up? See you in the next one.